The KNC Groundworks Scottish Rally Championship stays on the tarmac for round 4 of the 2022 season, back at the rally that restarted it all in 2021, the Dunoon Presents Argyll Rally. Over 120 crews would take the start, all lined up behind the stars of last year's event, Freddie Milne and Patrick Walsh.
Freddie, how are you feeling? Car one.
Yeah, nervous. Never won a rally, so I don't know if I really deserve this seeding, but we'll take it. It's an interesting spot to be.
4th co-driver of the year. How do you think that's going to go?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be grand. We've had a good recce, so I know Cammy settled in really quick. So yeah, it's been an interesting year with turning the co-drivers over, but yeah, it's good fun.
It's not an event I've done before, and it's going to be really interesting because it's got that added dimension of the up and down bit, not just the left and right bit. So I don't know how that's going to go. I think it depends how quickly we get to grips with that. But the cars are great, so to be honest, we're not here to see if we can beat certain people. We're just here to enjoy it and get to the end. And if we get a good result, great.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll just have a clean run tonight and see where we end up. It's amazing. You can feel like you're driving really slowly, but actually the time's there. So, and we'll just have to see.
New car.
Yeah, we've only done a few miles in it. Hopefully it's okay.
You've not had a chance to test it?
No, just briefly did about 20 miles in it at Teesside on karting tracks. Quite different to here.
Yeah, can't really complain about it, to be fair, so looking forward to getting going on this one.
Yeah, do you think you're going to be able to take the fight to Michael again?
I don't know, we'll see. It's pretty quick, so don't know, we'll give it a go. The long one tonight will kind of decide quite a lot, I think. So
we've actually put the upgraded engine into the car now. It was just a standard engine at the Jim Clark, but in all fairness, that will make absolutely zero difference in this event. It's all about suspension and the way the car will handle. So this will really test the car properly for the first time on bumpy roads. So we've no idea what to expect.
4 stages would make up day 1, beginning with 2 runs through Dunoon town centre, the threat of rain making tyre choice a headache for all involved. On wets for Dunoon, David Bogie and Cammy Fair changed to slicks for stages 3 and 4. 8th after the town, the mini crew would lead after stage 4. David praising the car's ability over the bumps. Third SRC after the town, Rory Young and Alan Cathers were already 25 seconds down on the Mini at the end of the day. An overshoot on the final stage didn't help, and Rory was planning a change of seating position overnight to help his driving. Just 3 seconds down on the Buckley Fiesta, David Henderson and Chris Lees were debuting their own example. Very happy straight out of the box, they knew there was plenty more to come on day 2. Delayed briefly with another competitors off in Dunoon, Michael Binney and Claire Mole held 4th SRC overnight, despite not feeling they were pushing that hard, preferring to keep it safe in the greasy conditions. Backwards over the flying finish of stage 1 sadly set the tone for Milne and Walsh. That was followed by a scary tank slapper in 3 and an argument with a wall in 4. Amazingly, they were still 5th overnight. Just 5 seconds back, Hugh Brunton and Drew Sturrock were producing one of their best drives so far. Too cautious in 3, they were one of the first crews to pass through the final stage in the wet. They had just 2 seconds on Scott Macbeth and Dan Forsyth. The Evo crew also caught out in the rain on slicks in stage 4. Greg McKnight and Callum McPherson's Honda-powered Escort topped the event 2-wheel drive standings overnight. The Mark II just 3 seconds ahead of Gordon Cunningham and Charlie Sayre Payne's Evo. Leading the Albon Garage Challengers, Angus Laurie and Paul Gribbon's evaluation of their own performance wasn't really repeatable. Wet tarmac in the dark, a totally new experience, and proving to be a big culture shock. 11th in the SRC overnight, John Rintoul and Ross Hind had no issues to report after a solid clean run. The Mini only 1 second up on Mark McCulloch and Michael Hendry, the Proton crew visiting the same wall as Milne and Walsh and damaging the rear suspension, but also the first victims of a chicane penalty. Two seconds further back, Peter Stewart and Harry Marchbank hadn't enjoyed the opening loop, but the times were still pretty good. They were having a better time of it than John Wink and Neil Shanks, the I-20 proving to be far too stiff on its new suspension setup, denting John's confidence. Willie Patterson and Tom Hines' loop was going well until the start line of SS4, when they discovered they had no auxiliary lights. Driving through on just dipped beam was an incredible challenge, but they thankfully survived, holding 15th SRC overnight. But already missing Barry Groundwater and Martin Forrest would go off into a fence at the end of stage 1, the Evo out on the spot with a broken radiator. Day 2 would dawn wet, at least in Dunoon. The difficulty was the stages were some distance away from the town. Again, tyre choice was the big issue. But it wasn't raining in the stages, still damp under the trees, but for the most part the stage was dry. Bogey and Fair would take slicks and it worked. The Mini never outside the top 2 times on the 4 stages and arrived back at service with a 29-second lead. Henderson and Lees made their move up into second. The Fiesta was also in the top 2 times on every stage and took quickest time in the first running of Whistlefield. The morning also revitalised Milne and Walsh. Despite carrying 2 spares, the R5 crew were quickest on 2 of the 4 stages, including Glendaruel, the stage that Freddie dominated in 2021. Young and Cathers slipped back to 4th in this loop, Rory feeling he was being far too cautious, and the Fiesta was now just 2 seconds ahead of Binney and Mole, the Evo crew looking comfortable with the pace in the drier conditions. Macbeth and Forsyth moved into 6th over this loop, the Evo now 44 seconds up on McKnight and McPherson's Mark II, and the Escort was 11 seconds clear of Brunton and Sturrock. The Fiesta crew another victim of a chicane penalty. With the car not handling perfectly after its argument with the wall on Friday night, McCulloch and Hendry were taking things pretty steadily, but without their penalty they would have been 4th, leaving them a bit frustrated. John Rintoul and Ross Hind were another crew to use slick tyres, and John was happy with the choice. Ross very impressed with John's driving. The Mini crew were hoping to stay in front of the challengers battle behind them. And that battle was heating up. Laurie and Gribben were too cautious by their own standards on the opening loop. Angus still learning the tarmac game. Behind them, Willie Patterson and Tom Hind were on a mission. After their disastrous Friday night, they closed the gap from 41 seconds at the start of the day to just 17 by stage 8. And Peter Stewart and Harry Marchbank were just 5 seconds behind the red Evo. The opening loop had been tricky for the 208. Peter struggling to deal with the gravel, being pulled out by the 4-wheel drive cars. After hating everything on Friday night, Saturday was a new day for Donnie MacDonald and Andrew Faulkner. Finding pace with every stage, the Fiesta was climbing the ranks and was just 13 seconds up on former Scottish Group N champion Ali Graham. The fantastic-looking Evo was flying, catching cars on almost every stage, as Ali and co-driver Kenny Maguire got some pre-mulled prep in. Wink and Shanks' difficult weekend continued, the suspension's still not right, making the car a handful. A phone call was made to BRC champion Matt Edwards, and some major tweaks were being made for the final loop. Cunningham and Sayer Payne's good run would end when several important transmission components would have an argument with each other underneath the car. Before the final loop, let's take a look at the action in the classes. Nikki Addison and Rachel Matheson's rally had started with the external lights, thinking they were part of a Pink Floyd gig, flashing on and off with no rhyme or reason. That was fixed with much tape, and they were really enjoying themselves. But unfortunately, they slipped off the road into retirement in SS6. Scott Gourley was making his SRC driving debut. With Roger Alcorn alongside, the 205's rear suspension would break on the Friday. That was sorted overnight, but they would finish the event with only 3 brake discs. They were awarded the Hard Charging Hard Luck Award for their efforts. Alistair Brearley had Ben Bulgowan in the hot seat for Argyll, but it was a tough event for the Mark II crew. A chicane strike and an early booking in penalty adding 3 minutes to their time, leaving them in 92nd overall. After burning the midnight oil, sorting the car after the Clark, Graham Sherry and Ewan Lees were rewarded with a class win. It wasn't easy. The first loop on Saturday was contested with only 3 cylinders. Jordan Anderson and Lewis Griffiths would retire early with a broken diff. Mike Moats and Gary McDonald's Friday night was hard work. The car cutting out on the second lap of Dunoon was just the start.
Oh no! Oh no! Broken something.
The car then fogged up completely in the rain, resulting in a crawling pace to the end of the day. Saturday, they just made sure to survive to finish second in class. Liam Richardson and Darren Kennedy had made the jump to 4-wheel drive after just 2 rallies, having sold their 306. Despite the turbo playing up all event, they took the class win and the Clubman Spirit Award. David McLeod and Eamon Boyle had a great run to the H1 win, the Sunbeam proving to be ideal for the twisty stages, taking the Scottish historic win in the process. This result earned them the Clubman Performance Award. Unfortunately, Ernie and Patricia Lee would have to pull out of the event, with Ernie feeling unwell. And that would leave Steve Bannister and Callum Atkinson to take the class win. Unable to recce due to work on the farm, Steve and Callum were using the organisers' supplied notes. A puncture in the final stage on Friday didn't help things, but the biggest disaster were 2 chicane penalties, leaving the Mark II in 83rd overall. Robert Proudlock and Lewis McDougall would unfortunately crash out in stage 8. Megan and John O'Kane had been running well, leading the ladies' battle, until they had an off on the Saturday morning. That bent the steering arm, but the big issue was it had also damaged the engine. They pushed on, but it would give up the ghost in stage 9. And battling with Megan for the ladies' win, Ashley Morris and Martin Haggett were another crew to put the car off on the Saturday. But some helpful spectators pulled them back on, and they would make it to the finish to take a second ladies' win of the season.
I wasn't expecting it, to be honest, because as you might see, we had a bit of an incident and landed in a ditch for a bit, but luckily we got back out. So yeah, really pleased with that. It was going really well up until that. I was really pleased with the pace. So obviously we kind of did enough earlier on to get away with with that little mishap. So yeah, really pleased with that.
Good.
After his early off on the Clark, Justin Gunning was rebuilding his confidence in the Fiesta R2. With Phil Kenny alongside, he built the pace all day to take second in class and 66th overall. Keith and Mary Riddick's rally started off with a wrong tyre choice. That was sorted, but then the exhaust manifold blew on the final stage on the Friday. The AMD mechanic stepped in to help by welding it back up and kept them in the event to take the class win. Keith very grateful for the AMD team's help. Taking both the class and the Moats Offshore Junior win, Johnny Mackay and Michael Cruikshank had flown in the wet conditions on Friday, sitting 34th overnight. But Saturday they discovered the engine was very down on power and the drier conditions didn't help. They made it to the finish in 49th overall.
Yeah, it's great to get the first junior. Great to be back in the Scottish Championship. It's been great fun. It's been a challenging weekend, but you know, we've got a finish for once on the Argyll, so I'm really happy with that. Yeah.
After the weather on Friday, Roo Campbell was questioning his sanity. Saturday, however, and he was on cloud 9. The Sunbeam working great on the twisty stages, and he and Shayna Archibald managed to take third in class. With regular co-driver David O'Brien unavailable, Paddy Munro had installed Craig Wallace in the hot seat. David's advice for Craig before the event was to swear a lot and talk about tractors. Rallying-wise, Paddy was determined to get a finish after retiring on the Clark, and it was a steady run to 65th. Taking the class win and 35th overall, John Crawford and Josh Davidson weren't very impressed with their own performance. John in particular being very critical of his own driving, describing himself as a wee scared laddie. Paula Swinscoe had installed herself in Peter Jackson's Mark II for Argyll, but sadly they would retire with a broken rear axle in stage 6. In taking the class and the Haddo Energy Super Seniors win, Gordon Murray and Stephen Brown struggled in the rain on Friday with a wrong tyre choice. Saturday went better until they were victims of a chicane penalty. The Mark II eventually finishing 47th. Keir Beaton and Ian Thorburn would retire after hitting a bridge and removing a wheel in stage 5. Jan Budge and Bruce Lindsay had suffered with no lights on the Friday, but thankfully the Saturday was going well and they were enjoying the stages. The Impreza crew taking 79th overall at the finish.
Never mind 500 yards from the end of the stage.
This is Bobby McLeod.
74th overall, Michael Moats was in the co-driver seat for Cameron Williamson, the Impreza pilot making his multi-venue stage rally debut after competing on single venues. Learning a lot as the event went on, they were happy with the progress by the end of the rally. And finally getting a class and a 5-star Subaru Cup win, Oren McDonnell and Johan Anderson were delighted to have some good luck for a change. It wasn't clean. A fuel leak was an issue and one of the rear shocks refused to come back down after a heavy landing. The Orange Impreza taking 53rd overall.
All right, pretty chuffed. Yeah, we've had quite a bit of bad luck over the start of the season and all of last year, so it's good it's finally kind of come together. So, yeah, been good.
Yeah, I bet you didn't think you would be saying that this morning.
No, especially as we were leaving 5 minutes before we were to set out. There was put the fuel pump on and we had a big fuel leak. So, but we managed to get that sorted pretty quickly, and then we were on our way and it was fine. So.
Yeah, good. And how was it from your side of the car?
It was all right. It was fairly well constrained today, so
did what I was told.
Yeah, it was listening, which is good.
Yeah.
Championship sponsor Kevin Crawford and Andrew Stevenson had struggled in the dark and wet of Friday night. Saturday was going better until an argument with a rock would put the Evo out. Aileen and John Forrest were running well on the Friday until an electrical fault left them stranded in stage 4. Back out for the Saturday, they kept the car on the road to guarantee Aileen's second in the ladies' contest. Unfortunately, Richard Stewart and Karen Tate Logan would retire before the start of day 2. We'll let Bob Adamson explain how his rally ended up.
I'll give you an abbreviated version. I don't know what happened. We came across the crest and the car took off. And the road, once we had stopped it, the road had a few bad dips and bumps in it. So whether we've just caught it, we've landed wrong, caught the grass, and it just turned immediate left and down the banking. There was a screech where the tyres locked up, and down we went, and it went bump, 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 and stopped. And I thought, oh well, that was all right. We're very lucky, very, very lucky.
Traditionally, Argyll hasn't been a great event for the Irvins. 2022? Well, this was stage 2.
And max right, and max left, into crest, keep left for 4 right, bump, and caution 4 left, tighten 6, over finish. You got it. Whoa!
And that began the series of unfortunate events. The fuel pumps packing up before stage 3 and rear strut damage was Friday's result. The only replacement suspension was for the gravel, so the car wasn't handling right for the rest of the event. Amazingly, they still managed to finish. Andy Scott and Laura Connell would unfortunately slip into a ditch on the final stage on Friday. Restarting on the Saturday, they were battling a sticking throttle for most of the day and suffered a chicane penalty. The I-20 ending up 50th. Still running their borrowed M Sport engine, John Morrison and Peter Carstairs were running well on the Argyll stages. The Fiesta finishing 28th overall and 15th SRC, just 16 seconds away from Wink and Shanks. The Hyundai crew really glad to see the finish after a frustrating event. Ali Graham and Kenny Maguire finished just 4 seconds ahead of the I-20. An excellent run for the Group N Evo. Donnie McDonald and Andrew Faulkner managed 13th SRC crew at the finish, just 20 seconds down on two-wheel drive winners Peter Stewart and Harry Marchbank. The 208 crew relieved to reach the end of a tough event.
Happy enough car, we got the car. It still wasn't right towards the end, but the notes were good, driving got better, and yeah, happy enough.
Good. Obviously the car wasn't filling us with 100% confidence, but we got there. You just got to watch over the bumps, so we just kind of backed off a bit down the bumpy straights, but overall happy. So.
In the Challengers battle, Willie Patterson and Tom Hind didn't quite catch their ALM teammates. The Red Evo ending up just 18 seconds down on Laurie and Gribben and earning a Star Drive nomination. Angus making it 3 Challengers wins in a row and excited to return to the gravel for the next event.
I'm very happy. Wasn't expecting it at all last night. Definitely not last night. Definitely not this morning in service, we were a wee bit down, so it's dried up. We had a really good afternoon there, good push on, much more confidence in the car and the weather conditions, and we've got where we want to be, so very happy.
Ninth in the SRC was an excellent result for John Rintoul and Ross Hind.
Before he even got to it.
John Rintoul there in the mini. Partner.
McCulloch and Hendry made sure to make no mistakes with the slightly bent suspension. The Proton just 13 seconds behind McKnight and McPherson's Mark II. An excellent result for the Escort crew. Seventh in the SRC with a chicane penalty was a great result for Brunton and Sturrock, earning a Star Drive nomination in the process. Macbeth and Forsyth would take another solid finish with 6th, the Evo crew earning the John Horton Star Drive Award for their efforts.
60 and 2 left, don't cut over jump, commit narrows, 80 over bumps, into flat right on crest jump 170 down, into crest and 3 left at bottom, 80 over bumps, and 2 right plus, repeat 2 right plus, and care 2 right and bump, and 3 right over crest opens, into small crest 130, and flat 1 left over crest commit 80, crest jump 40, into caution slow left on crest and 4 right nips. Left on crest, 4 right nips.
Young and Cathers finished 5th, just 4 seconds away from Milne and Walsh. The HOS Fiesta delayed with a puncture and spin in the final running of the Loch Fyne stage.
He is up on both.
But defying the quicker cars once again, Michael Binney and Claire Mole's incredible season continued with another podium. The Evo crew absolutely committed over the final loop in particular in another fantastic drive.
And he is
podium
on
space.
it. He's on a mission. At that point, he was only about 2 down on bogey.
No, there is no way. We had thought that we were going to do a 3rd overall. Never mind a 3rd SRC crew, but to be 3rd overall is it's pretty special. To be fair, you know, for us, didn't expect that. We just kept our noses clean and pushed really hard. Didn't make any mistakes, and the times were there. So yeah.
Last night was a bit hairy. It was a real challenge last night. At one point I thought, my God, that rain is horrific, and I looked a bit harder and it was actually midges, like swarms and swarms of midges, and it was quite hard to see through in amongst the rain as well. But no, it was really tricky last night, but I've enjoyed today. It's been really quick. We've had some big air today as well. Pushed really hard.
Another crew to be given a chicane penalty. It didn't affect the result for David Henderson and Chris Lees. Second, an excellent debut result for the car, rounding out the event with a fastest time on the final stage.
Into left 2 minus, into right 2 over small crest, and flat left 2 in over crest, and long flat crest, and care left 2 over crest, cut at the lay-by, into right 2, and middle over flat crest, jump 170, left 2 don't cut over crest, keep, and right 2 slippy maybe, 130, left 1 up into right on definitely flat crest, and care crest, left 2 in brave, and right 2 in plus in 130, slow crest okay, into caution, left 4 minus 5, over crest, stay out, into hairpin right, down, no cut.
You know, it feels like a long couple of days of rallying. Last night was challenging. We obviously finished up with a little bit of a gap to David and spend the rest of the day trying to catch back up. But I think in the end, 13 seconds behind at lunchtime, we're 30 behind. I think that shows it was okay.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I think this is like better than we could have hoped for with the debut of the car. Pretty much faultless weekend from us. So yeah, fantastic. Really pleased.
But taking the win, David Bogey and Cammy Fair barely put a foot wrong all event. David making it 3 wins in a row this year and giving Cammy his 3rd podium and first win of 2022. Both very happy considering it was their first event as a team. And David also announcing the Scottish will see him at the wheel of a new car with the Mini now sold.
it's been a tricky event. So yeah, you know, today's been good. It's just about maintaining the lead, which we've obviously managed to do, and you know, Cammie's done a great job. So thanks to Cammie, the team, and obviously everybody involved in organising the rally as well. You know, when you see from the midges to the rain to the scorching heat, we've really had it all this weekend.
Yeah, Cammie, have you enjoyed yourself?
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been totally different. It's nice being on the other side of the fence and not chasing the carrot for once. But yeah, it's been a really good day, and Dave's drove really well both in last night's weather and today in the drive. So yeah, can't complain.
So Bogie is the man to beat on the tarmac in 2022, and next we move back into his home forests for the RSAC Scottish Rally at the end of July.